There's a spiritual war going on right now, and unfortunately, most people are losing. See, in the past, this war didn't exist to the same level and extent that it does today because we didn't have all the modern amenities and comforts and luxuries of life that the modern world has to offer. With the advent of the internet, as well as the transportation chains and just the value chains in general by companies in the modern day and age, people have access to so many things that they couldn't do before. If you compare having fridges to like our ancestors from a long time ago, they couldn't just go to the fridge and get food anytime they wanted, for example. But even more recently, with things like the phone and the internet, people didn't have access to things like that because they didn't exist before. And now people constantly have to entertain themselves. Like most people feel like they have to entertain themselves all the time just to not go insane because they can't stand being with themselves, I guess. And when you think about it, that's what it is, really. It's not necessarily even that they don't like themselves, but they just don't like the feeling of being bored when they're by themselves because they don't know how to self amuse. Sorry, I've got allergies, seasonal allergies. Anyways, I think there's a spiritual level both at a macro level in terms of like societies at large, in terms of the morals being propagated and the concepts of how many people have faith, for example, in the society, and like how many people are acting morally, ethically, in a morally, ethically good manner versus not. And unfortunately, I think that for a long time it's been going towards a more corrupt and twisted society. Look at all of the Orwellian and draconian measures imposed by certain groups and organizations in the recent past, to keep it vague. And most people are totally okay with this. In fact, they'll even welcome it. They're totally willing to trade all of their freedoms just for a little bit of extra safety and comfort. Like, for example, a lot of people are fine with selling their data just for a little bit of comfort. And at the micro level, people are fighting a spiritual battle too. You look at most people around, and they're regressing in some areas of their life. Maybe they're doing well in some areas of their life, but they're regressing in other areas of their life, and they're not having a balanced approach to their whole life. And that always ends up in such a way where your problems just compound for the things that you're neglecting, and it's going to impact those other areas of your life regardless, in my opinion. So I don't think it's a good strategy to go about things. Like, for example, if you're doing very well financially, but your wealth is horrible, um, what's the point of having all the money in the world if you just die? Like, then you can't use that money anyways, right? So people are fighting against their own sabotage. People want to just waste their times and give in to their emotions to do X, Y, Z, but they really should be doing ABC. But instead, most people are not really keeping their emotions in check, but they're flowing with their emotions. Sadly, I met somebody just the other day. Not gonna get into specifics about anything that would reveal their identity, obviously. But basically, this guy, he's like over 40 years old, and he's like a video game addict. And I talked to him for over an hour, kind of had to. And what he told me was like that conversation, during the conversation, I could read some things about him, right? Number one, he was validation seeking to some degree, because like it was obvious that he's not a very social guy, to me at least. And he literally told me that this conversation was more than he had talked all week. And in my head, I was like, what the heck? First of all, why would you tell me that? And second of all, why are you talking to people for such a small and little amount? It's just so bizarre, you know what I mean? Like, even socialization, that's an aspect in your life that's really easy to neglect. And if you never improve your social skills, then that's going to be a glaring area in your life that's going to be very poor, and it's going to bleed into other areas of your life, like I was mentioning earlier. Like, for example, in your relationships, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get in the first place and maintain relationships if you have poor social skills. And it's unfortunate for those people, but that's just the way it is. Like, maybe it's not even unfortunate. I won't even say that because it's just a skill like anything else. It's just what reality is. And yeah, this guy is playing video games all the time. I guess he uh, yeah, I don't even know, but it's just like, he's getting fat too. Like, just a totally average guy, just like a chump, And I don't mean to speak about people badly, but I just don't like it how people are just choosing the easy path and just letting themselves go, without doing much and accomplishing much in their lives. And basically, they're a net taker from society. I don't respect that. So the only way to win against that is to win that spiritual battle, or win most spiritual battles, which you could say is winning the spiritual war inside of yourself, so that you can be a net giver to society, to people around you, and have a positive impact on people's lives rather than a negative impact by taking people's resources and time and all of these sorts of things. And the most important thing to do that is to not sabotage yourself, particularly by spending exorbitant amounts of time on social media and entertainment systems, which I think are the biggest scourge of particularly young people, but basically everybody today. So that's all for this video.